It's been a long day and a long season, but we are back here at NECC with Week 6, and we're checking in with Division 2. I am Sam here with Two Try Hard Ray. And Ray, it's good to be here with you. We rarely get the chance to be together, but we've got quite a little bit of a ruckus going on here in the Division 2 in the West Central.
Yeah, we got ourselves a banger between two schools who are considering themselves basically rivals, given how much they scrim, how much they play each other. They're kind of in the same geographical area. We have Cornell College going against Co College, and both of them are very well known in this division too, but they both haven't gotten off to the best so far this season.
It's been a little bit of a rough season, as you've said, both of them kind of sitting in the middle of the pack. So this game weirdly could kind of impact them and really shoot them up. Getting a quick look at the rosters here. Co College is going to bring in Kelly Dudd, Eric the Red, Railgun on tank, Arif and V. It's worth noting that Co is playing with a sub today, so a little bit under power.
When it comes to these collegiate teams, especially as we're in Division 1 and Division 2, where it's like some of the better teams. I mean, not that these teams are likely and possibly ranked. I mean, these two aren't yet, but they have the capabilities and the skill to be ranked. That's where the idea of, okay, we're down someone, we got to adjust, whether that's, we kind of swapped our DPS comps up a little bit, but we still have the same core structure. Or, maybe if you have a separate tank, you got to swap it up a little bit. But because of how talented these teams are and how often they scrim, I'm sure they're well prepared for these kinds of situations. The question is just going to be, we know it's not their top tier level they're going to be at. How much of a drop off is it?
Yep, especially versus this Cornell squad with Mischiefs, Chalky Milk, Archie, Gator Fan, and Quirky Oasis, who, like you said, they've been playing together, scrimming together. It might just give them enough of a man-up advantage to know that, we have that, we know they're playing down. We kind of understand that they're going to be playing maybe slightly less than perfect. So Cornell may be coming in and feeling a little bit at an edge, especially for this first control map, Ray. We are going to go over to Nepal to kick it off.
Yeah, we have to keep in mind Co sitting at 2-3. Cornell has not won a game yet. They're 0-5. So hoping to finally break that curse. And as we mentioned, Co's playing with the sub, so this might be their big opportunity against a big time rival. And Nepal, I mean, we're on a brand new patch. We've been hearing Arissa's still good, but she's not the main pick anymore. We've heard signs and rumblings of Junker Queen and Ramatra. So given that this is pretty much a given that it's a brawl map, I think those are like the three tanks we should be expecting.
Yeah, I would agree with you for the most part. We'll have to really see what all these players have learned from their patches, and it's worth noting, at least for you, if this is your first time here, map 2 will be hybrid or escort. You get your choice for the losing side, and we'll see that one later in hybrid. And game 4, if we get to it, will be a choice of either flashpoint and clash. So a lot of flexibility within the map pool, and like you said, especially for this co-varsity team, they really need to be flexible to kind of maintain their winning streak and not drop a very important game to Cornell.
And that's the one thing I do like about this map structure for NECC. It puts a lot of strategy in, and then it gives a lot of agency if you drop the first map, because then you get to pick whether we're going to hybrid or escort. Then the opposite team gets to ban a map, so then they get a little bit of agency back, and then the team who lost gets to pick the map after the first ban. So it makes things a little bit interesting. Like you could be like, this team's really good at, let's say the first, we're on Brawl, and let's say Cornell doesn't do so well in Brawl. And so next map, they're like, okay, let's go to Escort because more Escort maps favor dive and we're good at dive. Then Co's like, okay, let's just get Gibraltar off of there. Like, that's like the best dive map. And then they could be like, well, Dorado's still good at dive. Let's go to Dorado.
Speaking of dive, Ray, you mentioned that the comps have changed a little bit, but we do still see a little bit of that fringe dive comp in the Winston on a Brig variation. So, I mean, do you think that maybe that's something we're going to see a little bit more of now that this kind of anti-dive comp has kind of been weakened a little bit, or do you think maybe it's still going to be very niche across the maps like you think, like we were discussing?
I think on a map like Nepal, very unlikely. It's just way too close quarters and too brawly to see that. But if you get to a map like a Blizzard World or something, where it's like, you could play dive, you could in a great Orisa meta, you're still going to play Orisa on a map like Blizzard World. But with her being more weakened, it opens the door for those kinds of compositions. Maybe Esperanza, I think that's going to open the ability to play Winston there, because we even saw some matchups a couple weeks ago where one team wanted to play Winston on that map and they just couldn't. They were just getting run over by the Orisa. I think there's more of a chance of that working with the weakness. That armor change on Orisa, I think, is bigger than what most people are realizing.
I agree with you completely. I think that when you look at how the armor has been changed even since the beginning of the game, it's really, kind of shaped the way we're playing against it. And like you'd said, maybe there's a chance we can see the Winston, especially with that the additional bonuses to the armor piercing from his gun. But it's really not up to us. It's up to what these teams know best, especially now in Week 6, because we are running out of time, Ray. Playoffs are coming up around the corner. And for teams like Co, who are on that bubble, they're almost teetering the line. A game like this can be very, very important to making it to the playoff sections.
Exactly. We talked about how it's important for Cornell to try and just get a victory, get some sort of positive vibes and positive momentum going on. But you just underline that Co-College wants to make the playoffs. They're a team who's known, and there always tends to be in that group of teams who make playoffs. So getting a victory here is almost key. I think maybe we have 2 or 3 more weeks after this. And if they drop to 2 and 4, they're going to have to basically win out if they want to sniff at playoffs. So this is very important for them. Given this is a rival and given Cornell hasn't gotten a victory yet, this should be the opportunity for them to get back to 3-3 and put themselves in a great spot to punch to playoffs.
Just waiting for the teams right now to get themselves back into it. And like you had said, with these two teams being, such crosstown rivals, I wish I'd been following a little bit more in the football side. I unfortunately come from a land where we don't care too much about college football. But, I would be curious to see how overall the rest of these colleges are feeling about their sports right now, because when we got some information and we were talking to players and coaches, it was interesting to hear that these two teams have that kind of rivalry, because when you think about rivalries here in Overwatch, you think of usually your top 2 or 3 teams. You think of like Northwood and ISU, but there are so many other games and other smaller rivalries even further down these divisional brackets.
Couldn't agree with you more. There's always stuff like that, and even like inter school rivalries, like the Fisher teams have multiple teams, so like Fisher White and Fisher Navy going against each other, and even the like Fisher White and Redbirds Academy, they have that who has the better academy team kind of thing. And then because, in collegiate, the way it is right now for Overwatch, we kind of know top team is ISU and Winthrop. And then after that, it's kind of everyone can beat anyone on a given day. So that adds that much more to the rivalries. Like, you got BSCs out there, you got Converses out there, still the Northwoods and the Fishers are there, but everything is wide open after those top 2 spots in collegiate.
Yeah, and considering that, we just kind of readjusted here for NECC how these divisions work a little bit, teams that do well and tend to just dominate their division or tend to kind of, just show that they are ready. There's still plenty of room to move up. Yeah, maybe it may not be the season for a team like Cornell, but for these teams, there is still those lofty heights to achieve. Loading in, though, finally, after what feels like, the longest wait to finally see some good collegiate Overwatch here. Like you said, I'm curious to see what happens, because we also saw the nerfs to Juno as well.
That's going to be interesting, because I've been reading a lot of mixed reviews about that. Like, they're like, okay, it helps, but does it really? Like, they're like, sure, her ultimate's not as powerful. It's still good, though. And, herself and her kit is still fantastic. So I don't think we might see a little bit more of the mix-ups, but looking at both of these teams, does not matter. They're both playing variations. Co-College, the classic Brig Juno. Cornell's going with the Brig Ana, which I do like. It just predicates on a lot of those anti-nades. It's just very, very squishy.
Yeah, quick dynamite out from Eric, though, to get a little pressure onto this bridge, trying to just vie for this higher under the control. Gatorfan falling dangerously low on the front lines, and Chalky Milk on the May also put a little bit of pressure in with those icicles. Archie holding onto this angle, going to push forward with this javelin spin, and finally try to catch. They miss the wall, though, so that Orisa is able to back out. Dynamite goes wide and also misses a little bit. Chalky Milk gets caught, but has to pop the block to get out alive. Mischiefs, meanwhile, circling in the background, putting pressure on the Ash. Railgun finally finds one on the main side, and it's just a pincer from the side of Co here.
The idea for Cornell was great. The wall execution from Chalky Milk didn't get the Orisa isolated. And then as Mischiefs tried to go on a flank on the Reaper, Eric was able to get away on the Ash, and then come to the rescue comes Earth on the Brig. So it was just a little bit of bad execution.
A little bit of bad execution, but there's still plenty of, nerves out there as well. Chalky Milk just trying to get some cheeky icicles in there, make a little space. Bridge is firmly in the control of College here, and V holding onto that laser is looking, but Eric is the first to fall. RG finds a pick, and they'll begin pressuring the point, finally putting a little pressure on. College has to eventually give up this bridge position if they're going to contest the point. We see someone go in there a little bit deep, but they're going to get chased out by Railgun there, holding onto that position. Still no flip coming through, and finally they'll move towards in with that, looking for a little bit more on the flank. Mischiefs trying to put pepper in some damage onto the Orisa, taking advantage of those shotgun shells from the Reaper. Mischiefs finally wears down the horse, and will prop the laser in to have to go in. It'll be a nano onto Archie just to try to put some pressure out, but the College is managing to turn it in with those investments of their own. Blade in as well. It gets invested, but it's a little bit late. There's still not cleanup, and Kelly, unfortunately, takes the sleep and falls there. College throwing in whatever they can, but they will go to Cornell for finally a flip.
To me, that was just a poorly planned fight from College. I felt when they got down one to their Ashe, they either needed to completely back out or use that beam immediately to re-engage and get the pick back, and they just didn't do that. They took too long and then used their ults too late.
Gator fan still holding on. Like you said, they're still holding on. Those ults. Ring is out and takes a little bit of airborne. They're going to send in the laser here to go in after it. Mischief's holding on, trying to press them back. And that, like you said, there's a good engage from Finally wanted them to kind of disengage from that. So Railgun, however, decided not to. So they flipped the point in the meantime. We're going to send it to the Terror Surge as well. Kelly will find one, builds up, and Railgun finds the Ana. So that means there is still a little bit of fight here. The rest of Cornell is going to come back, but Railgun is just a monster that there's no stopping this Orisa right now. It's going to be a teleport in for Mischiefs, just unfortunately to go back to spawn, and Kelly is going to clean us up for a little bit more time on this point for College.
Cornell was able to flip that point in the meantime and steal a good 8%, so that's a big boom for them. But at the end of the day, this is still going to be final fight territory. Cornell has to take advantage of these two DPS ultimates, or this map is going to drop. Earth could save the day with a big rally to keep them up, and then Eric can throw in the Bob as a distraction.
What a wall and a blizzard there. It gets eaten, though, by Railgun. A great read from the Orisa to catch it out. Rally sent in as well, just to keep the Orisa up as it is. But Earth, again, has to be the hero. Stepped up, tried to do what they can, but Kelly who gets the first pick up in the sky. Eric is looking for more, but this team from College, they're a little bit split, just trying to find picks. Railgun, again, stepping up and trying to play a blade from Kelly, though. Goes in deep, finds the Juno for one, slashes, catches two, looking for more, and there it is. Kelly comes through in the 11th hour to close out first point Nepal.
Very impressive plays from College. Right there, that was them just playing their high ground well, waiting, knowing those DPS ultimates were coming online for Cornell, and they just saw the choreographed blizzard coming in to try and trap them on the high ground, and Railgun was just a beast on that. Orisa read that perfectly, gets the eat, and once that happened, it felt like just deflation. There was nothing that Cornell was going to be able to do to come back from that.
You'd wondered if you'd asked about it, if the Orisa is going to be still strong, and I think Railgun's making a great chase for these nerfs, kind of really not making the effect that they were looking for either, versus the Reaper too, who is supposed to eat up a character like Orisa with those armor changes. It just feels like Railgun is still just dominating the lobby.
I think we're going to have to... It's tough to say in a matchup like this. It's not like we're watching the ISU and Winthrop and We're seeing this play out. But I do think Orisa's still good. It's just how top tier are they as we go into Village for our next map, and they're going to do good. That's a good wall.
That's a great wall to cut off and make the isolation, but unfortunately no capitalize on it. Archie going to send in the spin and go forward a little bit more, try to put some pressure on the front line, but Mischief has trying to take a flank angle, trying to get a little bit of pressure out. Meanwhile, Eric is getting through, but Railgun again opens us up here in the Orisa, taking out the tank fight. It'll force the rest of the disengage from the side of Cornell, who's going to have to give up the space for now. First point is going to go to College as you see the Reaper just fading out of the way. Railgun takes that purple and falls dangerously low. Can they punish it? No, there's no ability to, so Railgun gets to live another day.
That's what you need from the side of Cornell if you're going to play this Juno Ana, is you need the big anti-nades to force to back up and not get aggressively in your face.
At least for now, but Railgun is going to keep going aggressive. That spin is taking so much space and just commanding all of it. Misses the wall from Chalky Milk, so will unfortunately not get the isolation there. But again, just keeping him isolated on this high ground, and Railgun has to send in the gold, pushing a little bit deeper with the help of Kelly Dud. They're going to get the ring to kind of pressure out. Railgun backs up and gets it out, has to get healed up. Laser is going to come in from the side of Gator Fan, and Mischiefs finally puts the pressure onto the Orisa that builds it out. But meanwhile, up on the top, they find another 4v1. They found the Ana, they just have to clean it out. And Cornell, again, takes a fight.
Cornell has flashes of brilliance where they make great plays, but they can't string them together. Again, they did a great job getting the high ground positioning and just getting a good wall and forcing isolation. It's just making sure they can do this consistently. I don't like how split off they are. When you're playing May Reaper, you need to be as like a ball as a unit.
Ooh, that's an early ambitious Ray, in addition to the Blizzard. But meanwhile, Kelly is just going in, still holding onto this blade, and still looking for more. The Ray does fall and catch most of Cornell, but their unaffected V is the one who is coming on top there with the help of Kelly. Deflect, no, still catches the purple and has to give up a little bit of space, can't chase the Ana down. But Railgun and the rest of Co College have already done most of the work. It was a quick fight there, and I mean, we're just leaving the last ones still alive here.
And it was for very little ult engage they need. I mean, you got Blizzard out of the way, and in the previous fight, the beam was used, and all you did was use your beam. You were able to keep all your ults. Mischiefs is looking for a sneaky little, but Railgun was all over it.
Railgun knows exactly what it is, and they'll have to try again for Cornell. 56% means there's still 2 fights left, but there is a nano up for Quirky. It's probably going to end up on Archie. No, Railgun finds and opens up the points again, trading out for on the other side of Chalky Milk, though, but it continues the checkerboard here with Co College holding on to all these ults, none necessary to win the fight, and Archie just keep trying to chase down the Orisa and just force out Railgun, but again, Co College pushes back Cornell.
And the hugeness of not using any ults so as we're on final fight territory. Co's only going to have 3. Cornell's only going to have 3. Co saved all 4 of their ults, so they're going to have the advantage in this final fight, when really if you were Cornell, you needed to get some of those ults to make it easier to re-engage.
Gonna have to push onto main as 90 is there. The Bob is gonna be the first thing to cut off, but Kelly's already found one. There's the blade for 2, looking for a little bit more, can't find anything. Survives through the purple, but can't quite get it out. No, couldn't get the deflect out in time, but the damage has been done there, and Mischiefs will find 2, and the rest of College Varsity is gonna throw it out there. The rally is just a little bit of flair for this squad, and a fairly dominant look from Co College on map 1, Nepal here.
And for a team who is having to use a sub, still looking absolutely dominant. Railgun on the Orisa has been very, very impressive. And Co College, as we talked about, this is a very important game for them, given they have playoff aspirations. Getting back to 3-3 is going to be key in these final weeks before playoffs.
And I mean, we wanted to talk about, morale boosters on both sides, Ray. I mean, nothing says a morale boost going into the end of the season like overcoming your rival college, right? Especially in a dominant fashion. That'd be a great way to carry off that morale boost into the rest of the season.
Couldn't agree with you more. Co College firing on all cylinders, coming out map number 1. We talked about the rivalry between these schools. So it's always, when I was in school, we literally had a rivalry where it's like a highway split us apart. So we had that. This is what this kind of feels like. It's like, hey, that school over there, we're better than them. And they got that attitude. And Co College making a big statement, map number 1. The question is, can they continue it through? And how will, as we mentioned as a preamble for the series, strategy now comes into play.
Yep.
Maybe this isn't the comp that Cornell likes to play. Maybe they are more of a dive team, and they're going to have the opportunity to possibly show us, depending how these map decisions go heading into round 2.
Yeah, for the reminder who maybe you're just jumping in now, it's going to be either hybrid or escort, depending on the loser's choice. And, we'll see where they want to go from there, because it'll be a ban from our Co College squad who won that. But, you had said it, maybe this wasn't their pickup. We've seen a lot of teams struggle. This meta is kind of different from a lot of the metas we've seen, not just recently in Overwatch, but even historically.
It is very, because I remember when the patch notes came out, and I was just like, okay, I think those are good things for Orisa to make her. She's not gone, but she's not a must pick anymore. So I was like, okay, I like that. But I was just like, who is going to take that place? Like, if it's not Orisa, what do we? Obviously, if it's a dive map, even like a Blizzard world, I still think you're going to favor dive at this point, because the Orisa changes are just too much to just consider her in those situations. So, your watch points, your Blizzard worlds, your Dorado, I feel like dive is still going to be better. Whether, a team prefers the Winston or the Diva, their cup of tea. I think Winston's a little bit better right now, but it's manageable. But for these brawl maps, we were kind of talking about it in our casters group chat. If you get to more points like Flashpoint, where it's very flat, There's not a lot of high ground to deal with. Do we start to see that Junker Queen who thrives in those kinds of situations? Do we see Ramatra, because he, very similar situation, prefers maps like Throne of Anubis, Suravasa, New Junk City, those types of maps?
Well, I mean, speaking of those changes, there's one also that has been very meta defining that we didn't really talk about, but Juno's ult took a little bit of a hit too in regards to that. And when you look at the kind of power level of this, it's also hard not to look at how Juno and those changes are also affecting everything because, like you said, similar to Orisa, she's also, it just tuned her down the power level a little bit.
I remember when we had seen most of I think the variations we would see in the last meta, we had Ana Brig for, your dive compositions. We had Juno Ana for these rushes. We had Brig Juno for those rushes. And then we had the quirky Lucio Juno in certain situations. I think that's dead. I think with the changes to Juno, I don't think Lucio Juno's that viable anymore. But I think it opens the door in certain situations where you might look, maybe we do play a Lucio possibly in certain situations instead of the Juno. Maybe, Beat might feel a little bit more powerful than that Juno ult at this point. But I think we're going to have to give it some time. I mean, we're still fresh on it. Teams are still actively scrimming that we're hearing, trying to figure things out. I think people are, as it's new, they're crutch leaning on, okay, we know what's strong right now as we're practicing for this patch, trying to figure it out. We don't know what's dominant yet, but we know we're good at Orisa, and Orisa's still good. Let's keep doing that while we figure things out.
Yeah, and that tends to be it, is just to play what we know. But also, speaking of what we know, Ray, we're going to go to the one map where everybody knows your game for our map 2, and it looks like it will be going to King's Row has been picked. And I don't know that I'm even surprised anymore. I actually want to say that, I should be, but King's Row is just such a standard in regards to a lot of these Game 2 picks.
The interesting thing is, I know it's such a classic, but I hadn't had it picked in a very long time. So normally I look at it and I'm like, again, but I'm just like, I haven't seen it in a while. I'm kind of okay with it.
I want to be in your games. Hold on. every game I get, it's always King's Row, King's Row.
Oh, no, man. Me and Tidy, we haven't gotten Kings in a minute.
Oh, man.
I think we got Blizzard World one time, and then we got some, we haven't had Kings in a hot minute. So not too disappointed going there this time. But it is perplexing to me, given how that last map went, that Cornell is like, let's run it back on, because King's Row is definitely a brawl map. So I expect to see probably Orisa's once again, and Ko absolutely dominated in that situation. So my question is, how is Cornell going to change things up to try and get even in the series?
Well, you mentioned that, and how are they going to change things up? Well, they're going to bring in a new player, Ray. We're going to see Chalky Milk go out, who is playing that Mei, and we're going to bring in Kulva. I don't know what we're looking here, because they were playing a Mei. Mischiefs was covering that kind of hit scan flanker role on King's Row. What are we bringing in here?
It's tough to say. I don't know if Chalky Milk is more of their Mei kind of brawly tank and DPS. And I kind of get that on a map like Nepal, where it's close quarters. Mei's very good on village. I mean, Mei's pretty much good on all those points. So you come to King's Row. Mei's still good on King's Row, but maybe, you bring in a Tracer player or something who you'd like to go on flanks and stuff. I mean, this is Tracer's home map. So maybe we see that coming out. We see more of a flex possibility. Or, we have seen teams play Winston on this map, especially on first point. Maybe they're going double flex DPS. I think it's tough to say, given all we saw the previous player play was Mei. It's not like saw a wide-ranging hero, so we have an idea, this was this DPS, therefore they're probably bringing in this kind of DPS.
So speaking of those DPS, because we watched Mischiefs, take that pick of the Reaper, who, that's not what we've seen throughout these current metas. You mentioned that teams are adapting and trying new things, and it seems like Cornell is really taking that to a different level in regards to that. They're really just trying to see, all right, what changes have tested to come to Orisa? Do you think the Reaper's going to stick around also?
I'm not as big a fan of Reaper in this. I kind of understand trying to eat up the Orisa, as you mentioned, with the armor changes. I just think through and through, you're either all in or you're all out with the Reaper. Like if you're going to go to Reaper, you either need to play Cass or Mei with it. And it just seems like given you taken your Mei player out, I wouldn't expect to continue to see that unless you do Cass Reaper. But I think in this situation, you don't want to do that. I think in these Orisa compositions, a Tracer / Genji or maybe like a Thera type DPS to go along with it tends to do much better.
Well, they obviously have a plan for Cornell, so they're going to make with this swap. They are looking to again bring some kind of light. They are struggling, looking for their first win. So, at this point, any change is going to be better than nothing. Like stagnation only makes things harder. And considering the meta has changed and teams are still, improving and adapting, like you had said, it's kind of up to Cornell to maybe make their own way in this kind of a meta right now.
Only time will tell, as we will be getting you guys into this action on Kings Row very shortly, just waiting for the readies from both teams. On the side of Cornell, you're in the situation. You haven't won a game yet. You're going against a rival, and you're down 0-1. This is the situation where champions are made. This is where your back's against the wall. You need to come up with the goods. So the question is, what are these players of Cornell made of? Are they going to step up and show us something? Or is it just going to be deflating and they go, we haven't won a series yet. Yes. We're already down 1 to these rivals. Will it make them or will it break them at this point?
I have to imagine, I've played on those teams. I've been there, right? Where it doesn't feel like you can do anything right. It feels like your whole season's just been kind of like throw it away and get ready for next season. But I do think that, like you said, even if it's not a full map win for Cornell, just like even just a map win is still something, to keep you kind of going in a rough season. So I'm wondering if Cornell are just maybe there's got to be some hunger in there, right? Like especially on a match like this, like you said, this is so important for the morale that I have to imagine that like even just stealing Kings Row, even if you only get the 1, that has to be something. But for both of these teams, the pressure's on in a lot of different ways. Maybe not for the bigger picture and the wider season for Cornell, but everybody hates to go home, with nothing to show for it. And that would be the worst case scenario, unfortunately.
As we drop into Kings Row with a nice little background shot of the beautiful sceneries and factories that we have available in this map, we see for the side of Cornell, defensively, pulling out the Orisa. No surprises here. Thought we might see some swaps, but Mischief.
There you there you go. There you go.
I did say if you're going to continue to play this Reaper and take out your Mei player, you do got to go with the Cass, and Kolva is doing exactly that. So they are still going to go all in with it. The question is, will the change with the Cass? I kind of like the idea. Cass does a great job of deterring flanks from Tracers and Genji, so it's going to make Kelly Dudd's job that much more harder, so you're going to have to be a little bit more careful.
It is, but I would say, like, please, Ko, hurry up and flip back to that for us, because, Kelly on this Genji has absolutely been a phenomenal flanker, honestly.
As we see the battling over the classic statue coming in for Co College, and they're looking to get aggressive right away.
Ooh. Kelly throws in the deflect, has to get away. Does get caught by the grenade, though, and the ring is used by Cornell. Maybe a little bit too much. Thought they were going to, engage there. Didn't quite get it for that. Meanwhile, Railgun just going to poke on the other side of Hotel, say hello, and try to put some pressure on the back line. Has to go back to the front and just eat a little bit of that spear in. Does catch 1, but finally they'll start to pressure the point here. Meanwhile, from the back, Eric is just going in, uncontested, able to keep firing in and try to chip away on that. Mischief's on the flank, gets speared out of the way, no, denied there. So still a lot of great angles of pressure from College here. Railgun finally opens this up one more time. Is dangerously low, but still manages to push in. Ring goes a little bit too far for Cornell, no one able to take advantage of it, but the second ring for Co is a lot better. They don't quite get in the face, but they do get 2 ticks, and they have taken enough space to really kind of push back. Archie has to go in, and that is a quick laser that is going to go in and push it in. Gator Fan builds first. Kelly goes and catches a dash onto Archie, though, and they have to take advantage of this for Cornell. The lasers are out from both sides, and Kolva just clicking for their lives. Can't quite get it, fans, but no one's home. Spin is there, but Railgun cleans them up for Eric just to pick them off, who swaps with Cassie of their own, and Co College just cleans up in one fight.
A nice swap coming in to go to the Cassia to go along with the Genji, especially for someone like Mischief's on the Reaper. Those flashbangs can stop that ever bothersome, like, you know, when you're trying to get aggressive with Reaper and you're able to fade out. If you get a good flashbang on it, your team can basically follow up and get them out of the picture. Ko got extremely aggressive, was able to get 2 ticks pretty easily, and that laser was not able to come in quick enough to save Archie.
Not quite enough to kick it off, though, so it'll be in the middle of second point Streets phase. Archie is going to take a little bit more space. There's going to be the ring for the engage on the side of Cornell, pushing in with the homing missiles there as well. They'll finally push back up and stop the car on the other side of the tunnel here. Kelly holding onto a blade. Last 2 have been very successful, so just have to get the space for them. Railgun holding onto this corner, going to push a little bit forward here, trying to find a target. High Noon is sent in from Eric the Red, tries to press in, 1 back from Kolva as well. Can't quite find anybody. No, and they trade 1 for 1 there on both of the DPS. And there's a spin coming in from Archie to clean up the rest of this. Still holding onto that front line. Railgun goes off to find one of their own, but the 2 wrists are still just there. Kolva continues to fire in. The bookcase, a great bit of defensive states, but Kolva's caught out, has to use the ring to disengage a little bit. Sends in the nade and can't quite catch as well. And what was a great opening for Cornell has unfortunately turned into yet another stalemate.
Laser's now going to come in to re-engage into this fight. The question is going to be enough? Both beams are out.
Both are out, but Eric and V are the first to open it up, and Co College, again, just once this laser comes in, they are able to clean it up with the rest of Kelly to cleaning up the last 2. And I mean, V and Kelly have just been this dominant duo on the kill feed array. Like, they have just been showing up so much.
It's been quite a scene. I mean, that fight was absolutely insane. You think one team's winning it, then a big jab comes in from Ko, that Cornell's able to get things done, but the later beam ended up coming through for Ko. College Mischief still has the Death Blossom online, but Railgun has been great at shutting down ult, so you can do that with that jab spin, but no touch!
Didn't get the touch in time, so point B will go to Cole. They're going to send in the Terra Surge as well, and Eric finds 1. I mean, that's just it. Mischief is stuck in the backline, has to teleport out. And, I mean, that was just the worst bit of timing for Cornell.
And now you're in a situation, over 4 minutes on the clock, and they are just touching the spawn room doors at this point. Cornell has to find an angle in. I mean, they have the ults to be able to get this done, but Kelly might get aggressive here with his blade.
They're going to have to, and Kelly's blades have been phenomenal here. Mischief still holding on to the, oh no, I was going to say Mischief is still holding on to that Death Blossom as well, looking for a high ground, can't quite use it. They're going to send it there, it gets deflected back though, and Mischief's managing to live through it, finds 1 Kelly. They're going to send in the rally from Earth to back it up, and Archie will trade out with the Terra Surge as well. And Co College is finally going to give way to the Cornell squad, the ring, just to try to clean up any last targets. They find Earth on the way out, so a great pushback from the side of Cornell to buy a little bit of time off this board.
Honestly, I thought the rally was going to allow the team to be able to disengage properly, but, you know, good on Cornell to use that ring to full effectiveness, and now they can sit here. They have both of their support ultimates, so even if you get a laser v laser, Cornell can invest the rally to win this next fight.
Eric's going to put some pressure on. It's High Noon looking for 1, finds 1, 2 skulls. Calls only 1 though, and that's Kolva out. But the cart is getting pressured. Mischief finally on that flank will find 1 more. Archie cleaning up another one. And you know, we wanted Cornell to go all in, and they are. Railgun will trade back. The rally is committed from Quirky as well. A little bit late, and Kelly's just going to get out. But maybe it was a little bit of a late investment, but it still was a very good victory for Cornell here. They're going to even try to catch Railgun out. This late stagger is going to be so big. They get Surge out too as well. Everybody steps out of the way, and that spear comes through. Railgun fights, and that is a late death for Co College.
You talked about the fact that maybe the rally was a late use. You basically traded your rally for their laser. Like, I would take that every single day if I'm Cornell. That is such a big ult out of the way. And now, defensively, you can just use this, and they don't have any tools to deal with your laser. The only thing they have to just make sure is Kelly doesn't go crazy with his blade.
From the high ground, looking down, sees the Juno. High Noon coming in from Kolva. Disengage, has to push the forward space. Ring to disengage. No, can't quite find anybody. The Genji's still on the high ground, pushing up. The deflect is forced out of Kelly. Falls to half HP. Can't quite put the pressure on. But Archie's still trying to hold down those front lines for Cornell and put the pressure on. There is going to be the orbital laser from Gatorfan looking in for a little bit more. Catches 2 in it, and they are able to chase down Railgun, who has been suspiciously quiet here as Cornell. They put their foot down on point C.
this is what you wanted to see when backs are against the wall. We talked about this, and it was looking rough. 2 points easily gained from College, but Cornell has come up with the big stuff in these last 3 fights. I just want to see this aggression and these big plays continue to happen.
Spear goes a little bit long, catches the support for Railgun here. Looking to try to open this up. Kelly finally from the high ground trying to find a place for this blade. Has been holding onto it in several fights now. Archie falls to half, falls dangerously low. There's the blade finally from Kelly. 2 on them, and they're going to be able to get out. Has to get healed up, has to deflect as well. Can't get out. Terra Surge from the side of Archie as well. Pull this out into the laser, and the Death Blossom from Mischief from above manages to catch one. Archie follows up with a second and cleans this up for a little bit more. Earth just has to drop the rally to try to get any more, but Archie and GatorFan clean it up in the meantime. And Cornell, with a minute on the clock, managed to clean it up.
It's so funny. I was literally going to make a comment about, wow, that was kind of an expensive fight. But then I look at College, I'm like, they used just as many ults as you did. So Cornell, I mean, this is best case scenario. Oh, I mean, the only thing is College has the Terra Surge advantage, but they're getting closer and closer to a laser.
Hot Kova sends in the high noon. Noah gets deflected from Kelly back in, and Earth cleans it up. So this is a quick win for the side of College. They just have to clean up the last of these pieces. Archie's the last to die, and they'll keep the cart moving. It's going to be overtime in just about 15 seconds here, so they're going to have to push this the rest of the way.
As we see Kelly positioning at the doors, trying to make something happen. Gator 20% to the laser, but can they touch? No! Absolute disaster. No touches in for Cornell as College, after being stifled fight after fight after fight, they're finally able to break through and finish with time on the clock. That is huge.
That is so huge, because that means now they at least have a little bit more. And I mean, you've mentioned it. That was 3 fights in a row that Cornell managed to win in that second. They looked like such a different team here on the second half.
And the thing is, like, I feel like if you're Cornell, you'd be feeling so much better if you could, even if you gave up the point, if you could have just gotten a touch and wasted those 3 seconds. Like, them finishing with those precious 3 seconds, it means everything. So it doesn't matter how well Cornell does on this attack, gets another opportunity.
I mean, and like you said, another opportunity means a chance for them to, if not even draw, just win here. Mischief's eyeing the Torbjorn possibly. I mean, you tried the Reaper. I don't even hate that, but I mean, I have to say, you called it for Cornell. They were bringing in the Reaper Cassidy. I think that made a world of difference.
I agree. We saw a lot of big plays coming out of Kolva. The flashbangs going up against a Genji. Again, we saw Kelly still made plays, but it wasn't as, like, felt like Kelly was more dominant on the previous map. It's because they're being limited, because Cassie can fire at the Genji from range, and that flashbang is very threatening, especially when you pull out a blade.
Oh, we're getting Torbjorn. We are getting the Torbjorn, right?
All right. I mean, another flank deterrent with Mr. Turret over there. I think the Cassie's going to be better at that in general, but they're playing both. So they're just trying to say, Kelly, you're not going to have a good time.
Kelly is immediately agreeing that, but Mischief's also having a very bad time, gets immediately picked, has to get traded back to spawn. We'll see if they stay on that. But Railgun finds that opening again, as they do get control of, they have to give up and give control of that space for now. I mean, they have, like you said, they have the wide angle here, looking for a little bit more, but Railgun a little bit pressured on the far side of this. They get pushed out of the way, but Railgun finds GatorFan in the back, which that is a huge pick. That means most of the healing is gone. Kolva will trade back one of their own, but with Railgun finding Archie, Cornell just can't quite push past this iron wall.
It's very tough going up against this Brig Juno composition. I mean, you are playing it yourself, but defensively, it's so powerful. The Brig can just continuously give armor packs to Kelly. You know, despite the fact that you're going against 2 anti-flank heroes, it really doesn't matter.
Does not, but Archie catches the ring. He's going to have to push through. The rest of those homing knees are in. And finally, they'll put some pressure onto the point. Cozy, we're going to retreat into the hotel and push their ways in. They're even the laser. Kova holding onto that high noon as they're deflecting the way, and so many shields. They get the stun, and Railgun falls there. So that means they're going to open it up for the rest of the way. With the horse gone, the rest of Cornell wins out the fight for a very low investment.
Extremely low. All it took was a high noon. I mean, it looked like thought they timed it properly with that spin, but there was just like separation of like maybe a second that allowed Kolva to be able to get that through, and it just all the floodgates open as soon as the tank is down. That's kind of how it goes in Overwatch 2. Now that we're only one tank's gone, it's hard to win. And the good thing is it's taking Ko longer to be able to regroup, so they're having the ability to push up and get this cart past the archways. Ko was able to waste a lot of time at the archways on the Cornell was on the defense.
An aggressive ring comes out from GatorFan to try to push everybody in, and Mischiefs finds V in the background in the meantime, and Railgun is going to be the second to follow with Mischiefs on the Torbjorn. Another fight win again for no cost whatsoever.
The Swedish man, Torbjorn. Just love to see the Torbjorn getting a lot of value, because you know a lot of times you see Torbjorn like, aha, silly Torbjorn, ha ha ha. But he's actually doing, Mischief is doing great on it so far. The turret's a great deterrent. I mean, look at that. I love that turret going on the high ground, because you know Kelly's going to love to play those high ground angles on the Genji, and it's at least going to take your attention away, even for a slight second.
If nothing else, to be able to track him, and Kelly again just going to get the turret out of the way for now. It's the first deterrent. GatorFan is in, going to send in those orbital lasers, those tracer rockets, no, and that's going to be a spin that gets taken out from Railgun. Right away, Kelly has the blade. There's 1 dash, 2 dash, looking for more, gets 3, and it's going to take, like you said, the Mischief is going to send in the lava. It does take out Kelly, but the damage is done, and Ko gets a pretty quick. Railgun has a little laugh. Look, it's hard not to have a laugh at the Torbjorn. It's hard not to.
Kelly is still able to do massive damage with the blade.
So much.
Doesn't matter if you're playing Cassidy Torbjorn. It's still a tough day out there for you DPS players when a Genji is in your face, and your support players. And that's kind of what Ko needed. Cornell was on such a roll with that great defense and coming into the attack on point really quickly, and now the laser's in.
Lasers on him both sides. Seeing what thrown in, Quirky just going to keep swinging, has that rally as well. It's going to be the first spin from Archie. Terrasur pulls him in to the rest of that, but rally first from Earth to kind of try to push a little bit of space out. They get the turret, and that's going to be enough, but the high noon from Kolva has to push out. They do catch Kelly out, and with Railgun going as well, the rest of this Cornell squad has cleaned up again. This is a different squad from map 1, Ray.
The Cassidy is getting so much value with Kolva. Every time they've had a high noon, they have found magic. And again, it's continuing. Kelly is still making their plays, but they're not as dominant in the kill feed as they were. And now they get second point. They have over 3 minutes on the clock. And I'm still in this situation, given how well they're doing so far. It's still allowing those 3 seconds on the clock. Just feels that much worse.
Yeah, you could have just won for nothing here and be done with the map. But it's going to have to do Kolva managing to get the dinks out there. Archie going to push in, gets a spear into the backline. It's going to be a deflected spear into the Torbjorn turret. What an occurrence of events here. Mischiefs on the slight flank, managing to put a little pressure, and Kolva catches them from the front with Railgun down again. Cornell will go in. Co College has to use the ring to disengage, but again, Cornell chains another fight win together.
They did have to use the rally, which you'll take that if you're Ko, but they're going to have a laser. We're going to have 2 lasers going at it, but Ko can commit a rally of their own, and they're going to have Blade. Can they get a touch?
If there's a touch? If there's a touch. Blade, no, Kelly does get the touch, but they step off. There's no one else to follow it up.
What? They were winning that fight!
That was a 1 fight for them. I think everybody just forgot to go to the cart because they were expecting Kelly to kill everybody. That's what it feels like. I don't have words for that, Ray.
I was going to say I'm at a
really
loss
know what
for
to
words.
do about that. Like, that was a great turn. They were turning that around with Kelly finally active there. They were going to win that, but again, maybe you call the 3 seconds a mistake, but I mean the same thing happened. Maybe it's just karmic justice for the side of Cornell. I don't know.
Staggering time bank differences. I mean, almost 3 minutes of time bank difference for Cornell. Yeah, I feel like in this situation, you gotta win if you're Cornell. If you lose with this discrepancy of a time bank, that will be the most. That might just be the nail in the coffin. I don't know if you can come back from this. So, Cornell setting up on this defense. Ko was able to take the first 2 points with ease. You cannot allow that to happen again, given they're only going to have a minute.
I mean, it's 1 fight in theory. The average fight lasts about a minute to maybe 30 if you're quick. And, I mean, they look like this is their dominant form. They wanted to come here. I have to imagine that Cornell knows exactly what they're doing. Ko is going to come out, and they're same thing. They just have to move faster here. Kelly's going to get quick control with Railgun on this far side of the pillar, looking for a little bit more. Again, turret is out, but You know, it's always the first casualty, forces some attention away. And Cornell just pushing in, maintaining this pressure, controlling the hotel for now. Kelly has to try to find an angle in. Deflect right on the main front line. Is going to be a ring from Cornell to try to push them back and scare them out. Great space control from them. Kolva has to keep just shooting. Clicks at the heads, and Railgun falls dangerously low, and Archie manages to find Eric the Red. Railgun has to get out. They have one more shot here.
So much ult charge already gained for Archie and Gator fan. This is spelling disaster for Co College. They got to get aggressive and find picks before these ults come online for Cornell.
Kelly falling low, and they use the ring a little bit early to make sure Kelly can get out alive.
Oh.
But no, Railgun gets caught out inside the hotel. That is this is the worst case scenarios. The rest of Cornell uses the ring to go forward, and the 2 seconds. Ray, you said that this needed to happen, and Cornell is making it happen.
And they basically have a full time bank. I mean, it's minus 10 seconds, but those 10 seconds are going to make a big difference. Cornell, man, after a dominating map 1 loss, they come to Kings Row and we're like, whoa, you just lost in the Orisa battle, and you want to come to a map where we're probably going to be playing Orisa again, but they bring in Colvo, they pull out this Cassidy, and it has been working wonders.
I mean, the Cassidy and the Torbjorn too. Let's not deny that there is at least some mental game going on here with Mischief's Torbjorn.
No, I agree. I agree the Torbjorn is doing something, but I think we're seeing a lot of this value out of the Cassidy.
Oh, I agree.
Kolva's high noons have been on point, and it is making, again, Eric be less effective. You're still going to find your plays when you're playing Tracer and Genji.
Yeah.
They're just harder to come by.
Okay. Zen?
I feel like they're in a desperation kind of situation here where they're going to have to hold for 4 minutes and can't even allow a tick. They're probably hoping this Discord orb can help them wrap up fights quickly. That's my guess. But to go with Sojourn Cassidy as well, I mean, they're just going to be playing pick squad here and hoping that that can carry them to a draw.
Like you said, picks with the Discord orb is really good, but 4 minutes almost of time bank for the side of Cornell to get even a tick. So they're going to be playing this very slow. That first Sojourn rail does go a little bit wide, a little too tall for our short Swedish man, but they see the high ground, and they're going to rotate up here for now. The early ring on the ground, Kolva just trying to put pressure on this point, just not denying them that. Meanwhile, in the window, there's the Sojourn looking for a little bit more. A little bit pressure from the side of Railgun, who goes in deep and is rewarded for finding Kolva. The rest of Cornell College a little bit separated, as it seems like the rotation got a little bit missed. They get to the high ground, but Kolva will be back in just a minute, and suddenly there's a split party.
Still plenty of time for Cornell to make something happen. This rotation to the high ground is making things a little bit tough, but Ko's doing a great job of counter-rotating to not give Cornell too much of an advantage, but that's a lot of pressure on Kelly, forcing them to back up.
Mischief is just holding down this high ground with the turret, and it allows Archie to take the advantage and find V in the background. That is a worst-case scenario. There's too many angles to cover, and Cornell now finally pressuring the point. Will get pushed off by the Sojourn field, but Mischief finds Urf in the back, and that is such a important pick, and Cornell is doing it. They will take their map win here on Kings Row.
Let's go. The rivalry stands strong. 1-1 after 2 maps. This is the kind of series we were hoping for when we heard just how much of a rivalry these two schools had.
And, I mean, you know, considering how important of a game this is to Cornell, who, again, hasn't had, you know, a great season so far. This is huge. Kelly's going to have this consolation, but, I mean, Kelly cannot carry this on their own, unfortunately.
I mean, this game was important for both teams.
Yeah.
You know, Cornell needing to get a victory on the season and Co needing to stay alive for the fall season playoffs. So both teams have a lot at stake. Cornell just pride and ego and wanting to get some positive vibes going. Co, I mean, they have a standard of making sure they at least make the tournament. I mean, do they always, you know, win and all that? Not always, but they're always in the mix. And getting a loss here is going to make that much more difficult going forward. As we talked about, they're probably going to have to win every game after this if they can't get the victory.
This important game is going to be hanging on the line, but these two teams are going to need a break after what is an incredible game 2 of Kings Row. So we're going to take a break, catch our breaths, and we'll be right back in just a moment. Hang tight for game 3.
No. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to the house. Just leave it.
The hell with that.
Oh! Ah, yeah! There's something in there! Ah!
Want one?
Thank you.
It was worth it.
These crosstown rivals are still slugging it out here in the middle of week 6 at NECC. I am Sam back with Ray. And Ray, I mean, it's been a banger of a match so far with Cole and Cornell tied up 1-1, and with a ban from one of the most arguably popular picks for push of getting rid of Runasapi. We are going to Coliseo?
Very surprising. Runasapi, I mean, it's weird because Runasapi, in my memory, at least in the meta we're in right now, you play Orisa.
Yeah.
So it's like Coliseo, probably playing Orisa. So to me, it really doesn't make much of a difference. I think we're still probably going to see what we've seen out of both of these teams for the side of Cornell. I don't see them changing things. They got that dub on that map. Big deal to tie it up. They're still probably going to continue to play this Reaper Cassidy. Coliseo's very close quarter brawly. That's going to work in their favor. Maybe they wanted – it's interesting that Code decided to ban that map of all maps, but doesn't matter either way. Code's going to continue to play the rest of the question is, can they stop the anti-flank comp that Cornell's been able to play and allow their Genji player in
Kelly
Kelly to be able to go off?
Because Kelly had been a dominant force in that map with one victory on Nepal. And, I mean, there are also, you mentioned it's very brawly, but there are a lot of flank routes still open for Coliseo. Now that the map geometry has changed, if maybe you haven't seen it in a long while, we #removed the glass and got a lot of doors open. So that was even more flank routes for Kelly to take advantage of.
We are going to have to see how this will work out for either of these teams. As we kind of preluded, so much importance for both of these teams. And if Cornell can string together 2 maps in a row, what does that put inside of the head of Co College, who is, I mean, at this point, I'm sure Cornell's pretty much resigned themselves to, we're not making playoffs in this division this time around. Let's just try and reel off a win here, while Co's frantically trying to make that push. And, they go down 2-1 after dominating the first map. And especially if you continue to play this toward Cassidy and they're just like, we can't find an answer.
Yeah.
Then things start to look rough for Co.
It really does, though, especially because not that the fights were won, but I feel like between Kelly and also Railgun for Co were also very dominant. Like Railgun was constantly getting those first picks, and I feel like when your Orisa's just not having a good game in this meta, it kind of, unfortunately, the rest of the team feels it. It feels like.
We'll have to see if they can turn around this momentum, and I think the bulkiness of the Torb coming in and the extra time they're having to take to find and eliminate that turret is definitely coming into play. And the amount of damage you're able to throw down from a distance, and even once they get in your face, you can just continue to hit those clicks on the Torbjorn and throw in a lot of damage. And with those armor changes to the Orisa, it's adding up.
And not to mention, like you had said earlier, it is a kind of a double anti-flank, right? You get the turret just to sit back and kind of put in a lot of 6-man damage in a lot of ways. So even if you are focused on a lot of the the frontline fight, like you seem to be, you can still do so much. But it makes me wonder, because Co, let's talk about this for a minute since we're waiting for a load here, Ray. The Torbjorn and the Reaper, these are by no means, even after the changes, picks that people have really considered viable.
No, I mean, in this situation, I think they're just trying to say, okay, we know they're wanting to play Orisa. How do we give our Orisa a leg up in this battle, given especially how dominant Railgun was on map number 1? And their answer has been, okay, let's deter the Genji, get that out of the equation. And then with the Torbjorn, it's like, okay, so we get the best of both worlds. Reaper can throw down a lot of damage, but they can't really deter flanks. Torbjorn can and deter the flanks, so that's kind of what's happening here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little bit of interesting mind games and a little bit of the hero selection that's really changing the game here. But going into beautiful Coliseo, like you said, maybe they don't even want to play the Torbjorn. It's very possible. I think if you're Cornell, maybe you stick on it because Mischiefs has been playing very well on it. But it is very linear. So I'm very curious to see what Mischiefs gets up to.
Both teams now locked in, loaded. No surprises for Cornell. going to continue to play Kulva on that Cassidy and Mischiefs on the Torbjorn. For the side of Co College, I'm not going to trust anything that they are locked onto right now. So let's focus more on Cornell. They are going to continue to have Gator Fan and Quirky play that Juno Orisa. And now we do see Co locking in, and Kelly is going to go over to the Widow, which I'm not necessarily upset about, but Widows, I mean, it's
tough.
just, can you find the picks with this Widow before the Cassidy and the Torbjorn outlast you?
Yeah, it's very all in on this long range shot.
Nice
here.
skin though, the legendary or the mythic.
Yeah, it's the legendary there.
Yeah, the mythic.
Legendary there. But a lot of the sight lines controlled here by the aid of Railgun here is going to try to keep pressure onto the bot. The rest of the Cornell squad, they'll use the ring. I don't even think they saw Railgun. They're just going to run right by. They're going to try to run him down. The ring from disengage from Co College though gets him out of the way, and a nice angle from Kelly to kind of put the pressure in. Is going to get forced out by the is going to get forced out by the turret there. So again, the Torbjorn finding a little bit of extra value in these fights.
We're gonna have to see as the elusive first fight on Coliseum continues to drag out, as one team has not been able to gain an advantage one way or the other. The Reaper Widow is very interesting. The Reaper's there to help, even out the battle with the Torbjorn for the Orisa. Kelly's got to find these picks though.
Yeah, Kelly doesn't really have a great angle from that high ground, has to try to give up some space or play into it. But Railgun finally finds a good target in Kulva and the Cassidy, but manages to escape with their lives. The ring, a great disengage, but Archie is the one who's punished for it, and Kelly finally helps to balance one out, and that is 2 down, and Cornell has to just retreat back to spawn for now.
Yeah, Railgun got caught up in, they got around the corner, but they were so low and all their cooldowns were forced out. It was just nice nice of Co College to be able to get those done. Railgun? As we see Kelly now getting aggressive, taking these angles, looking for shots. That's a lot of damage.
Railgun also sending in the Terra Surge there on the back end, pushing it up, forcing and allowing Eric up for the red for a pick, but I mean, they wanted to talk about getting space for Kelly, and that was a lot of space gain.
And almost 40 meters and counting. And both teams have the ability to throw in these lasers to the fight, but this Sights is only going to continue to delay things just a little bit, but it doesn't matter. They're just going to be like, let's get on top of Kelly now.
Great look, but the sights are popped, so Kelly will at least see him coming for now. This bridge is going to be the stopping point. And the laser is going to come out from the side of V, just try to push a little bit in. Kulva's going to find and trade them out, though, as a Bash is forcing out the counter laser from Gator Fan. The later laser will always win, and Mischiefs and Kulva making sure that that happens. Kelly caught out in a rock and a hard place, has to get out. Eric's going to try to escape for their lives, but manages to find one on the way out, and Cornell will push them back here. 7:30 on the clock, and, it's only 50 meters for Co.
Still a great distance. I mean, you win another fight and a half or so, and you're going to be able to get that ever so important first point. The one thing you can say is fair trades coming out from Cornell, so you have the ability to re-engage with a lot in your pocket, but Co as well. I'd be looking head on a swivel for Eric, who's looking to try and get to this backline and get a big Death Blossom. Cornell's got to be very weary of that.
Yeah, those flanks are going to be so important for this Co squad's success. Kelly now on the high ground, looking for a little bit more. Can't quite get the Juno in their sights, as they have come to a stop here. Cornell trying to get a little bit more value and push, with squad just kind of holding that angle. Finally, Archie just pushing into the counter of the Orisa. Mischiefs find Earth, though, in the background, and a great spear just falls short as Eric manages to fade out of the way for now. The turret is gone by the hands of Kelly, but again, that's constantly the first pick, and that is just one more target that Cornell just can throw right back down a little bit later. On the high ground, Railgun pushing in, and Archie goes deep to find Kelly. Terra Surge gets in to try to punish, but Archie throws one of their own to try to catch a little bit more. V finds Mischief on the other side and catches a little bit more. The Reaper falls dangerously low, and Eric is just trying to chip away at this Cornell squad, but they have managed to be an evasive, slippery bunch as they're edging themselves. They will steal the lead here with the help of that ring and edge themselves closer towards this point. Quirky throws in the rally too, just to make sure they get it. They're going to chase out the rest of Co College for now.
Getting that first checkpoint, absolutely huge. Totally worth investing the rally to be able to secure that. Because now going forward, you're in that prevescent situation if you're Co, where it doesn't matter if you want to fight here, you will have to take another one in the mid-fight just to get any kind of distance. We see the Reaper setting up for the Death Blossom.
Oh, that's a huge one. Takes out Gator Fan in 2, and Kelly finds one to pair it off in the background. A great just sneaking in from Co there to, again, put it stop. They have fights to go, and Earth has to send in the rallies now, but V is the cleanup. That's not often you see the Juno putting in most of the DPS work here.
Rally and Death Blossom used in that fight, which are two. I mean, considering you're playing Widow and Sights don't grant you a lot more than just some time. Big investment. So they got to hope they get a lot out of this beam, but the counter beam is off the table for now.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid win condition right there to buy a little bit more space here. Under 5 on the clock, and Sights will get popped from Kelly, so at least they'll have an idea to plan for this upcoming fight. They'll see the respawns coming in. Kelly just holding angles, finds the Jader fan again, and that is another huge pick. That means V's laser is going to be free. Kelly's just going to go ahead and chip away at that, but the rest of the brutal squad from Co are going to push to take this back here. Looking for a little bit more. They have this.
This is why, folks, you don't push during Sights. That's why most teams just hang back and wait for them to be gone, because the Widows will just find your heads. As the beams come in from both sides, College able to get 3 in exchange for 2, but the cleanup is there. Railgun's now going to use the Terra Surge, able to get a lot of damage done. Counter Terra Surge now coming in as we see Archie getting cleaned up just around the corner as they're able to get the touch before the lead, as Cornell is able to stifle Co before they are able to take the lead. As we have Cornell getting the forward spawns taken away, we see a lot of aggression coming from Co, trying to make something happen, but they burned a lot of ults to try and take that lead, putting Cornell back into the driver's seat. Molten Core, High Noon rally for Cornell as we see the fight engaging at the midpoint. Good javelin coming in from Railgun, but the team is there to keep things going. As we just see teams poking and prodding. Cornell so much at their disposal. The question is, when do they look to pull the trigger to get aggressive? Kelly has the sights. Mischief very low, but is able to get out with their life. Nothing yet from either side. Turret has gone down. As the sights get pulled, Kelly can now aggressively take these angles, and it forces Cornell to have to play more passive, more safe, not be able to open up as the Molten Core is now going to spread all over as both teams trying to use these rings to speed in and disengage properly. Cornell's now going to take the aggressive turn here. Still has rally they can throw into here as Co is built up to one of their own. Eric looking for a Death Blossom, but with Railgun going down, I think that's going to dispel any hope as Cornell is looking to gain that much more distance on their lead over Co. Archie taking the high ground on the bridge, trying to position themselves well as their victory is only getting that much more certain and their distance of lead is getting that much stronger. Co, a lot at their disposal. Rally's going to come out as the fight engages on the bridge. Lots available. Death Blossom now comes out, but it's not enough. Big whiplash coming in from Earth. Colby gets the pick onto Eric. In comes the beam from Cornell College, and they're able to clean up shop. Back to the spawn room you go, College, and an even greater lead for Cornell as we're coming up to a minute left on the clock as Co is looking down the barrel of being down 2-1 after dominating the first map. They have Earth going to go over to the Zen, hoping this Discord orb is going to be enough to be able to find picks quickly. But is it enough? Lots available as look at that turret is taking away so much attention. Terra Surge is going to come out. It's not going to be enough. They try and combo with the High Noon. They are able to trade out Orissa's, but with the spawn advantage, Co is able to clean up with 30 seconds left on the clock. You're going to have to look to win 2 to 3 fights in a row. Discord Orb has been helpful. They get a late stagger on a Culva, which is huge because that's going to take away the ability for for Cornell to take a quick... Actually, no. They're going to get spawned just before the midway point. So you still should be able to take another fight here if you're Cornell. The one thing College has going for them is they're going to have an uncontested orbital ray from V to use in this fight. Out comes the Molten Core. It's going to not give that much. The Great Javel's been coming in, but Archie finds two. Mischief's able to get Railgun, and that is going to be all she wrote. Cornell College comes roaring back after losing map number 1 to take a lead in the series 2-1 over College. Woo! Absolutely insane. I don't know if you're back with us yet, Soav, but what a finale to that map. All right, looks like we do not have him back yet, folks, but Cornell College, no wins on the season yet, going against their big time rival, College, is able to come through after being pretty much dominated on Nepal, comes back, dominates Kings Row, and that map for a while was nip and tuck, but that ended up being a very dominating victory for Cornell College as they are one map away from finally getting their first win on the season. And given how big of rivals these two teams are, that's got to feel really good. Like, regardless of how your season's going for Cornell, as you mentioned, not a win yet, getting the big win over your big rival, that's just like big cherry on top of an amazing win Sunday, like ice cream Sunday kind of thing. So, but it's not over yet. Cornell does need to make sure they seal the deal because Co is still in this. I mean, I look back at Nepal and it was very dominant for College. So that is still in them. And we talked about this at the beginning. College has been playing without any kind of with a backup. Sorry, one of their starters is not here, so they have been having to deal with that. But it didn't seem to matter on Nepal. But Cornell, with the changes they've made to try and deal with this Genji by playing the Torbjorn and the Cassie together, has worked out beautifully. Like, Co didn't even play the Genji on Colosseo. They had the Widow instead. And I mean, it had its moments, but through and through, it wasn't the answer to deal with this Cassidy Torbjorn. And for Co, the fact that they're fighting for a playoff spot in their division, they got to get things together. They have to find some sort of answer. For map number 4, it is a choice between Flashpoint and Clash. It's no surprises here. We did get Flashpoint picked over the Clash mode, which, you know, people are still feeling it out. People are still trying to figure those maps out. So these Flashpoint maps are a lot more familiar. And as you can see on screen, we will be going to Saravasa for map number 4, which these Flashpoint maps, you know, all things considered, I think Clash and Flashpoint in general, all of them are going to be good for these brawly compositions that both these teams have been playing. So I don't think we're going to see much changes in the lineups and in the compositions. The question is, what kind of changes do Co make? Because I doubt we're going to see the Widow, and they haven't dealt with the Torb Cassidy yet. What are they going to do to figure this out? Are you back with us, Soav? Okay, does not look like he's back with us. Sorry, folks. I thought he was there for a minute. Seems like they are not. Again, Saravasa, map number 4, we can see on screen this amazing series between these teams could end and culminate on here. But for College, they are hoping to force a map number 5 and keep their playoff hopes in Division 2 alive. As I definitely see Soav on our cameras now. I'm hoping he's back now.
I think we're okay. I think I don't think my internet could handle the rest of Coliseo, Ray, because I mean, I don't think this is the way anybody expected this game to go, especially now going to Game 4, Suravasa, where you were talking about this, how in regards to the, this is where we might see something different, like the Junker Queen. I don't think anybody expected to be here, let alone these two teams.
I mean, how much were you able to see of that last map, just, bouncing off, just talking about it? Were you able to catch it all?
I was able to catch here and there, but I could see.
Oh, okay, yeah, no worries.
Generally, it
was just kind of crazy.
Cornell
and
was pretty in control there.
Yeah, it seemed like the wind went out of the sails. They went for a big rally Death Blossom play, and a huge whip shot came out from Earth and just completely shut that down. And it felt like they just could not regain control after that. They tried going Zen, and it helped for one fight, but in the end, once things got out, and if you're not able to find picks fast enough, that is just way too squishy. You're not going to be able to get things done. And Cornell just got very aggressive and found those picks. And now we're in the situation. A winless team is on map point, and the other team who is fighting for a playoff spot backs against the wall. We challenged Cornell after map 1 and how the season has gone. Let's see your stripes. Let's see what you're going to do in the situation. They've responded. I now challenge and ask that of Co. What are you made of?
Yeah. And I think that in a way, you kind of nailed it, because, we saw the Zen again. And the last time we saw that out of the side of Co was in a full panic, we don't know how to deal with these DPS changes coming in. And that seems to be kind of the Hail Mary plays that Co's making. And I mean, like you said, you challenge them to do it. I don't know that they can keep doing it with these kinds of Hail Mary moments. You do want to make those changes, but I don't know if those changes we're seeing are what needs to happen in the moment. I don't know. These changes feel very, like you said prior, they feel very panicked. It feels like Co doesn't really know how to respond to what's been thrown in front of him in a lot of ways.
Exactly. That's what I was talking about coming into Suravasa. Like, there's no way we're going to see Widow on a map like this. So what do you do now coming into this map to try and deal with this? Like, flankers on this map tend to be very good, Tracer, Genji, but they're playing the anti-flank comp. Yeah. So, I mean, do you look to maybe go Mei, where you can isolate their Orisa and look to take their tank out early? Like, I'm just kind of spitballing here, because they have to find an answer for this, or they're going to be, giving their rivals their first win of the season and jeopardizing a playoff spot for themselves.
A lot on the line for Co College, considering, like you said, playoffs are still within their sights, and this would be a cornerstone victory for them to put on the way there. So Co really cannot afford to lose this, especially to such an important rival like this. They are going to bring out the Reaper Mei of their own, and I have a suspicion, I was going to say maybe the Junker Queen, but I mean, Cornell's pretty set in their ways. They have no reason to change, but Co, this look from them is new.
Which is a little sorry, I was looking at the wrong team. I mislabeled them. And this is kind of what I thought might happen, is if to try and deal with this, you got to get tanky back at them. And I like pulling out the Mei Reaper, because you got to look to try and get an advantage in this tank battle. And I think this is the way, is as long as you can get good Mei walls from Kelly.
That's the hope. You need to make those isolations for Co College, and going to try to, they'll get to the control of the point first, going to force them through this choke point to get in their own way, as the first point is going to unlock. Look for a little bit of pressure from Co College in. Here the spin coming through. Kolba is just trying to push them back. 4 now for the side of Cornell, and trying to find an angle to put those pressure on. And the trades first from DPS come through. It's going to be Archie going a little bit deeper. They find the Brig, and they find the Orisa just left out alone. Railgun barely hanging on by a thread, but those headshots are going to pile up, and the first initial point is going to go to Cornell in a very dominant fashion.
I can't continue to talk more about how well Kolva's been doing. I mean, look at that, 65% of that cast charge, which means you are hitting your shots. I mean, whether they're headshots, your flashbang, you are doing a ton amount of damage to gain that much in a single fight, and they're just doing a great job of limiting. Like Cass, we talked about how they're flank checkers, but we talked about how good it is against the Reaper as well.
Both of those rings out, a little bit of push from Ko.
Kolva
trying to take
again.
the space again, but Kolva comes up with 2 and again just shuts them down, looking for a little bit more. Railgun finds 1, but he's off in no man's land, and Kolva just cleans up again. Kolva has been the absolute savior since coming in on map 2 for this Cornell squad.
And once again, a late stagger coming onto V. One has to question, do Ko just feel like they're continuously hitting a wall and not able to find an answer? Or is the fact that they're playing with, not all of their starters finally starting to surmount itself in this series, and Cornell making their change, starting to, condense this?
Eric the Red Dead coming in now on the Cassidy. Kolva with that high noon up gets speared away, but the Orisa is in danger. They find a skull way in the back, but it's going to be a laser from the side of V to try to kick everybody into the way. Ooh. And a Blizzard thrown in as well. A desperation Railgun throws in 1 more to make it 3, and that is all the ults from Cole thrown in to make sure they do not lose this. Wow.
Whew. Crazy Terra Search coming in from Railgun, but Cornell did get it to where they only need 1 more fight to win this, and I think the rally alone should be able to get this. They could also throw in the Molten Core if needed, but Ko doesn't really have anything. They might be able to get to Sound Barrier, but they are playing the Lucio Juno now, which I kind of said how I don't think it's really that viable in this meta anymore. I guess we're going to get an answer to that question and see how it goes for the rest of this map for Ko.
Well, it's full speed ahead for Co College, trying to maintain pressure here. 50% is there, and Quirky is holding on to a rally, just trying to catch it, and Railgun's falling dangerously low again. A pack goes out, but Railgun's still just trying to maintain pressure of this Earth, swapping over, trying to get there. Has to commit the Sound Barrier to make sure, but it's too late for Mischiefs, who goes down. The rest of the Sound Barrier is good on everybody else, but with the tank down, there's no one there, and the Torbjorn, again, backed up by their young daughter, is just going to clean it up, and the first point going to Cornell.
They didn't even have to use the Molten Core. As I mentioned, that rally is going to be strong enough on its own to be able to get them the point. And now, with all the momentum on their side, they can get to this next point. They can re-engage with their Molten Core. There's no, there's no Orbital Ray for the side of Co College, and now they're swapping over to the Ana as they're just looking for any kind of answer, as they're hoping maybe the Anti-Nade can be the answer.
Just searching for college, just searching for answers. A desperation play here for Co College again. They'll get rid of Mischief's turret, but that's always the opener. It's always the first pick, as the spins are out for both of these. Arista's looking for a little bit more, and finally, Eric comes up huge with his Deadeye, tries to put the pressure on. The rest of Co College will push forward and clean it up. A 1 single pick from from Mischiefs on the way out, but a pretty convincing fight win in return from Co.
This is what you needed from Co College to get your confidence back and try and force a map number 5. A nice, clean teamfight win. They didn't have to commit a whole lot. They got out the multi-core from Cornell, and now they can just aggressively, rotate around, figure out where Cornell's coming from, and they can look to get ready here. So we're going to see a little bit of a split rotation. Pincer coming out for Cornell.
Okay. Trying to take that high ground and look there, but Kelly has to use the ice block. Blizzard still in hand. Might just chuck it on the way out here, as they'll get help from Railgun. It'll be a laser, though, to push them back out here. And Cornell getting aggressive into the point now. There's finally the Blizzard from Kelly just to try to catch anybody else. Archie does find one with their own, and Railgun sends in their own Terror Surge to try to find anything, but to no avail. And Cornell again just pushes in. Kolva dies with a Deadeye, though, and that could have been the game changer they were looking for. Eric's still alive and getting pressured out by Mischiefs finally, but it is no problem for this sharpshooter. Earth is still cleaning up, and the rest of the Co College squad is there to clean this up.
And that's going to be a point grab for Co College. And what that really came down to was Kolva had a good high noon going, but Railgun was able to throw up the javelin spin, and it gave Cornell enough time to find the kill gave Co College enough time to find the kill onto Kolva before the javelin spin finished. So that pretty much took the big play out of Cornell's hand, and Co's able to clean back up. But the Ana seems to have been a good swap so far, getting some decent anti-nades, and now they can look to Nano whether they want to go for Railgun if you get slow in this fight. You can allow Eric to possibly just be the electric cowboy and look for easy, quick picks. There's a lot of options here.
Options that Co needs to find and value in here. They'll push into the high ground. and get a little pressure, and that's going to be their orbital ray coming in from Earth to kick us off and push into fight. Cornell is going to get out of the way and try to push it through. The trades come through, and Co is the advantage here from those first 2 picks. The rest of Cornell just going to have to get out of the way. The wall catches the Torbjorn, and that is as good as pick and isolation as they need for Co College. So, I mean, just again, another chain together win for Co College. Again, turning this around in the 11th hour.
And that's what we had to continue to look for if you're Co, is getting aggressive with your ults, which they did with the orbital ray, and then finding big time walls to isolate players, and Kelly was able to do that in that fight. They just got to continue to do this, and if they continue to make plays like that, they will be sending this to a map number 5. Cornell, however, they're going to have a ray of their own to commit into this fight, so Co's going to have to be very careful. They're in a great defensive position to deal with it, though.
They do get control of the center point here. They have Fountain to try to block a little bit of pressure out as they fight for it. Orbital Laser is going to come out in addition to the spin from Railgun. In addition to the Nano, Co is throwing everything at the wall and has to make sure something sticks. Gator's Laser is in as well, and the rest of the ults will come through, but not a single kill found from all that investment. Cornell rushes in with the ring now after that and manages to push in. Molten Core thrown in as well just to try to control the space a little bit better. And finally, Cornell looks like they're going to get up, but Eric comes up huge in the 11th hour and finally catches 3. Co takes another point.
One more point to be able to send this to a map number 5 between 2 schools with a huge history and huge rivalry in the Overwatch scene. Cornell will have the ult advantage coming next fight. They'll have Culva's High Noon and a Terra Surge from Archie. Last time, Railgun did a great job of limiting Culva in the High Noon as the team was able to pick him off while the Javelin Spin was up. Can Co do that again?
It's a great... They're going to have to try to here, especially because they don't have anything on their side. Just positioning and aim here. The shot's coming through. Kolba now looking to put some pressure on. They'll step onto the point and try to press from the rest of it. There's the wall out from the side of Kelly to try to create an isolation. Doesn't find necessarily. The ring is there to help move Archie around. A purple comes in and only catches Mischief. And the laser comes through from the side of Co. High Noon is there for Kolba. Any targets? No. Everybody safely out of the way in a wall just to make sure there is no, that door is shut. Still the pressure is on and the fight is live, but Cornell just to try to keep the pressure and the fight going. The sustain is still there.
As Cornell played that beautifully, and despite some big anti-nades coming in from V, another one, Archie goes down, and all the momentum is just sucked away from Cornell. It looks like we lost Sam again, folks. If he gets back, he can just enter whenever he feels there's a good space. As we see Co taking control of this point once again. They're pushing up lots of ults in the back pocket. Out comes the orbital ray. Down goes Rail Gun as Cornell played that beautifully. They made Co pay for their aggression, only costing them one ult, and they're going to get a quick, easy point flip back in their favor as... I mean, I think that might just be point. Co has the ability to try and, you know, re-engage here if they wish, but they might look to hold on to ults and just take this back at the next point. But we do see them pushing forward, so it looks like they are going to make a concerted effort. Kelly Dead throws in the Blizzard onto point, is able to get the freeze on Archie. Archie goes down, overtime ensues, but with Archie down, that is probably the end of the fight. They get the High Noon onto Gator Fan. Point is going to flip, and the hope for Co ending this map stays alive, but it did cost them both of their DPS ultimates, and Cornell did a great job of not really engaging and using anything in that fight. But they're going to get a late stagger onto Kolba. That is absolutely nasty work coming out. This is going to make this only one. Oh, with that pick on a Gator Fan, that might just be it for Co. They're playing aggressive. They have ults in their back pocket. I don't know if Co is going to be able to get this touch as they are searching and hunting for an angle, for a direction to try and get there. A good just 10% left on the point. They're having to use all of their cooldowns just to get to the point. A lot thrown at the honor. The anti-nade comes in. Kolba's dead, but 3 picks coming from Cornell as the 3 picks are traded out. It is an even 2v2 fight as we're seeing it on the point. Railgun has the the Terra Surge available. Both Orissas do, as that's going to come out. Point flips, but it's still an even fight. Down goes Railgun. All there's left is Kelly Dunn on the May. Is just going to try and stall for tide, but there's 2 players there, and a hope and a prayer, as that now makes it a 2-2 score as we're heading into final point, which is going to be Gardens. Whew, folks. We knew this had the possibility to be a banger. We knew these teams had a lot of history, a lot of rivalry. And for Co College, it all comes down to this final point. If they win it, map number 5. For Cornell, they win this, they win the series. Orbital Ray available at Cornell's disposal. That alone should be able to win them this fight, but Co has done a great job of finding picks in desperation. Great defensive Maywall, allowing the team to completely back up. They will have to forfeit the point, but they won't forfeit the fight because that Orbital Ray value just completely goes away. Now they can look to re-engage. Big anti-nade as the Nano is now going to come in. Mischief forced to use Ice Block as High Noon for Kova is going to force Ko to back up just a little bit, which is going to deter the Nano. But Kelly can re-engage, is going to have a big Blizzard online. Archie putting a lot of pressure on the side of Rail Gun as a lot of clothers being used. Blizzard comes out from Kelly Dunn, gets the freeze onto the brig. They find the pick. Archie's found 2 in the meantime. Quirky Oasis is down as Cornell is cleaning up. They want this first win against their rivals very badly. One last chance for Co College to try and send this to a map number 5. Eric's going to have the High Noon. Co, they used a decent amount, but if this fight goes on long enough, they'll get both of their supports and a Blizzard. So if Co wants to win this, man, I feel like speed and finding a quick early pick is going to be the name of the game. Eric pulls out the High Noon. Can they find anything? They do find Mischiefs on the May. Takes the Blizzard off of the table. That's the kind of opening pick you needed, but Erp has gone down. That is a lot of healing off of the table. Eric is now down. Rally comes out for Quirky Oasis as Cornell might have came up with the goods. Out comes the Orbital Raid. It feels all but over for Co College. Cornell College is able to get their first victory of the season against their rivals, Co College, in stunning fashion. Whew. Folks, outside of a map number 5, I don't think we could have asked for more. Given we got a 4-map series, Saravasa coming down to the final flashpoint, and it just being a crazy nip and tuck go either way series we had there. Cornell College, big congratulations to them, man. That was an impressive feat. I think we all kind of favored Co coming into this, just given they had, they had 2 or 3 wins on the season. Cornell hadn't really gotten anything. And, Cornell comes in, they're like, look, we play this team all the time. We know what they like to do. And even though we're using a backup, even though they're using a backup here, so they're not full strength, we have an opportunity to really, take a big time win for us and get that invigorating win over our rivals. So it is just so great news for Cornell. I am very glad that they were able to get this win, because you never like it when you have a winless team, and they were finally able to get it done. Think we might have Sam back? Okay, does not look like it. Does not look like it. He's still getting things set up. Yeah. That's fine. But once again, congratulations to Cornell. That was a giga banger of a series. Are you back, Sam? Okay, no. Okay, anyway. They pulled off the goods, man. Right, the first map on Nepal did not go as well as they were hoping. Co College kind of absolutely dominated that first map, but at the end of the day, they made that amazing swap to go over to the Torb and the Cassidy, brought in Kolva, and it worked beautiful. Even when it came to the final map of Saravasa, where the Torb started to lose its value a little bit, they were able to make some good adjustments, go over to a May of their own, and they were able to win the series.
I think that's the thing I love most about this Cornell team that's impressed me, Ray, is just simply the flexibility and the willingness to try things that maybe didn't work, but, made sense on paper, and just the, no fear to try them. I think that really, really, kind of went in their way to kind of give them. And I think if you're like you'd said, this was a huge upset, and this is a huge morale boost for them. So I want to check in on this team, down the road. Yeah, they're not going to make playoffs, but I want to see who else they steal these games from, because this is a huge, like you had said, a huge morale boost going into what has been an initially rough season.
Couldn't agree with you more. With that, that's pretty much going to wrap up everything. Unfortunately, that first game, we did have that score update. Northeastern, who had been struggling a few weeks in a row, able to get a big win over Fisher White to try and bring their season back onto the rails. It was kind of falling off a little bit. Got a big win there. And then in a really crazy 3-1 series, big upset, Cornell College able to get the win over their rivals, College. So with that, that's pretty much going to wrap everything up. Like to thank everyone behind the scenes, people working very hard. Bull Skunk, who was supposed to cast tonight, ended up having to go over to the Observer side. So, awesome job from him. Very flexible guy. He was able to get it done. Thanks to everyone in Prod who was filling this week. And thanks to all of you who have been watching. I've been Too Try Hard Ray. This has been Soav Sam. And we'll go see you guys at next week on Friday for some more NECC Overwatch. See you guys later.